opponent says that teenagers lack driving skills. This is incorrect because how can somebody lack the skills of something they haven't tried? In some states, the legal driving age is actually 15. It is 15 because according to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, family members already operate farm equipment at an early age in the fields. They also go on to say that teenagers do have the skills necessary to drive motor vehicles on the highway. David Firestone from the New York Times also says, for families who have trouble finding labor to move their crops or pick up supplies, it is a necessity to have every kid drive. So I think it's not fair to say that all teenagers lack driving skills when some obviously do have the skills to operate them. My opponent also goes on to say teenagers overestimate their driving abilities. Everyone, no matter their age and no matter what the topic is, they always overestimate their ability. That's just human nature. For teenagers, this is normal because this is when they do start to overestimate, but it's only because when they do learn to drive, it is an important part for a teenager's social development. According to David Riley from the Metro West Daily News, says slipping behind the wheel alone for the first time is a sweet taste of freedom for many teens. The Department of Health in New York said learning to drive is a major milestone in a teen's life. When they can start to drive, this is when they will start to help out around the house. And if they have still, they'll start to help out with their siblings as well, and if their parents need them to run errands. So when teenagers get their license, and when their parents start to ask them to do things, this is when teenagers start to feel a sense of independence. And then on the issue that says teenagers at the age of 16 are not mature enough to be given tasks as dangerous as driving is incorrect. Stereotyping young teenagers as reckless drivers is incorrect because adults are just as reckless as anyone else. There are many teenagers who are careful drivers. But they are careful because driving is new to them, so they are going to take it easy while they are out on the road. Yes, there are some teenagers who are not careful, but why should those few ruin it for all the other generations? My opponent says that the ability to perceive a risk does not develop with age, it develops with experience. This helps out me on my side, because no matter how old someone is, when they learn something new, they have to keep practicing and practicing at it in order to get better. So raising the driving age has nothing to do with this. It has nothing to do with the experience. A 16-year-old and an 18-year-old both have to practice at driving in order for them to get better. If the concern is the teenage drivers are not careful, then instead of raising the driving age, they could just set restrictions for new young drivers. As Nick Triggle from BBC News says, newly qualified young drivers should be banned from nighttime monitoring and carrying passengers of a similar age. So if the problem is that they're driving recklessly, there are rules set in place so that they have a certain time limit that they have to be back home. My opponent also says that raising the driving age to 18 will reduce the number of fatalities on the highways. According to Associated Press's Seth Bornstein, he says the highway death rate is higher for a cautious 82-year-old rather than for a risk-taking 16-year-old. When teenagers get their license, that is when driving becomes an essential part of their life. It is essential because teenagers need to drive in order to go to school and go to their jobs for those who have them. According to the author of Young People and Transport, Pamela Story says, since many live in rural areas with few buses or trains, it is hard for teenagers to find transportation without a car. Teenagers can also start taking extracurricular activities such as sports, bands, and clubs. Joining these extracurricular activities makes it a lot easier because they no longer have to rely on their parents. And parents, when the teenagers do start to drive, parents are also relieved when it's this time because they do not have to rush out of work anymore to pick up their child, or they no longer have to go into work late when they drop their child off. Pamela's story also says that 40% of 16-year-olds say that transportation issues played a part in the decision. So if a 16-year-old could not drive, then they cannot hang out with their friends outside of school as much as they would like to. But if they do But if they do hang out with a friend with no car, then it often has with no car, they often have problems arranging lifts home at night, says Pamela's story. This is why driving is essential to teenagers, because not only do they get a sense of independence, but it makes their life and their parents' life a little bit easier.